This episode of Nuff Said is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
It's Chad, and we really want to be your friends. We hope our good times never end. It's Mozz, it's Chad, and we really want to be your friends. Hey, cats and kittens, welcome back to the AKA JonesCast. I'm your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser. With me, as always, is my skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Hey, welcome.
And we only want to be your friends for about another 2-3 episodes, so just keep it.
This is episode 10, man. We are coming down the pike. This is a 13-episode season, I believe, and we are at the decimation level, the 10th episode. Okay. Tonight's episode, a.k.a. Hero Pants. Jessica wrestles with her emotions as she tries to untangle herself from a murder. Tonight's director is Sanford Bookstaver. Of course, Brian Michael Bendis and Michael Gaydos get our Marvel created by character credits. Our created by is, of course, Melissa Rosenberg. Written by goes to the man, the myth, the legend, Jamie King. Hilly Hicks Jr. also gets a written by credit with him. Jay Holtham is our hard-working story editor, and once again, hardest working person in show business, good old Jesse Harris. Okay, yeah. So this is. I mean, this is what I say, man. These last two episodes, they are like such slow burns.
Yeah, and then when the moments pay off, they really pay off. There's a couple of moments here, so just like little bits of dialogue that are just so wonderful to me, and we'll get to them when we get to them. But this was, I was glad Jamie gets a written by credit for this. I was hoping he wrote this. I really like this episode.
Yeah, this was a really powerful episode. This is, preparing for the funeral, and just this quality of it, where you can feel that for Jessica, for Patsy, the death of Dorothy still hasn't really sunk in, and they're keep on getting distracted, I think, and maybe choosing to be distracted because it's just easier to be distracted in these situations by things like the fact that Hogarth is still technically the lawyer of record on Dorothy's estate, and as they're making the preparations for the funeral, and Jessica goes to handle the funeral arrangements because of course Dorothy had it all planned. But you get this feeling throughout this that for Jess and Patsy, they have no idea who Dorothy was anymore, or what Dorothy had been up to. And
or never allowed her the space in their lives to actually get to know her. They had made up their minds on who she was to them, and didn't realize that aside from that, she was a person out there in the world.
Yeah, and to be fair, like one can say, Dorothy used up a lot of her goodwill already.
Right. That's true.
There comes a point where when you start saying, well, yeah, you have, we wish to make amends, that, at a certain point you can't make amends for something so far in the past. You can't make amends because you pushed Trish into a life that you did and enabled her. Now, of course, there's a whole argument to be made about, how much can you enable someone who has the power to do it, even if you stood against them, because, certainly.
And the thing was, don't waste talent.
Yeah. Well, but that's what it comes down to, is what is your talent and are you going to waste it,
Mm-hmm.
Because that is what Patsy says at the eulogy. That
Joe Jackson syndrome,
Well, I mean, I don't know how much of Joe Jackson's syndrome it was. I mean, Joe Jackson.
Or like Tiger Woods' dad, like that kind
Yeah, well,
of.
Tiger Woods. Yeah, Tiger Woods. It's a much happier. The Joe Jackson story that gets
Fair enough.
kind of.
That gets quite dark. Quite
Although
dark.
again, Patsy, of course, has definitely shades of.
Right, and it's sort of the same industry in a sense,
Oh
So
yeah. I mean, my honest opinion is that actually, is that Michael actually wasn't Joe's kid.
ooh,
And it drove him mad. Yeah, I think the wife had a thing with somebody else.
Scandalous.
Yeah, and I get the feeling that Michael kind of had the talent that Joe never had, and it just drove him insane. That when Michael became the star, that's when Joe started. That's just my dark, twisted theory on the whole Jackson story. But yeah.
So he was Michael Jackson was like imagine if it was aliens that impregnated his wife.
Well, yeah,
I saw music industry alien Jesus.
Yeah.
Born of.
I saw that episode of Black Dynamite too.
Okay.
Oh, you did not know? No, there's actually there's an episode of Black Dynamite, the cartoon, that has that as the basic plot.
Really?
Yes, that Michael Jackson was sort of an alien,
Immaculate Conception thing?
Well, I don't know if they went that far, but it was just, but it was about how really Michael was the diabolical control. But, yeah, I thought you were referencing that, but actually, no, just great minds think alike. You and the guy who did Black Dynamite. So, it is a fun, though, hard to watch cartoon sometimes, but it is a fun cartoon.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah, it was an Adult Swim piece. Yeah, if you're a fan of the blaxploitation genre and modern semi-comedic takes on the tropes of it, it's a really fun series.
Right on.
Yeah, it has a bit of a Brown Hornet quality to it, where it's like because he Black Dynamite solves the problem because he's Black Dynamite, because I'm Black Dynamite. Okay, moving right along.
All right.
Where was? Oh yes. So So Trish is convinced that Eric is committing these crimes, but Eric is just.
You mean Jessica is?
Yeah, Jessica is convinced that Eric is committing this crime, killed the cop. But as Eric says to him, I can't even be around people who lie. You really think I could? I would. It would make me physically ill to be that person.
Right.
I can do morally questionable stuff. Don't get me wrong, but to actually become a killer, I could not cross that line because it would kill me. It would actually kill me. In much the way that they were saying that, if he had actually gone to Rikers, it would kill him because he would just be exposed to so much evil that it would overwhelm him and just destroy his body, And to make that internal would actually just be even more horrifying. I am certain. So, throughout this, and again, this is an issue where, Salinger has been kind of forgotten. He's still in the hospital. I think we see him without his bandages on, and we see that his face is completely, torn the heck up. There's an interesting scene in the last episode where Jess was cleaning Trish off, where you kind of, and I don't know if this is ever going to come back or not, but you see her scrape the blood out of Trish's fingernails and put it in a little piece of paper, a little piece of Kleenex.
Because in that moment, I thought, why is she doing this to get rid of evidence? To protect. But then I was like, when she put it in the napkin, put it away real safely, I was like, yo, she's collecting evidence just in case.
Yeah, I don't know if that ever does come back, but I am going to say that.
I hope it does.
Yeah, because I actually forgot how I actually had forgotten because he does become kind of secondary in this. I kind of had forgotten what happens to Salinger at the end of this. So it's kind of new to me exactly what's going to be happening with Salinger. But in the meantime, we see that Jessica is continuing to search. She is certain that Eric is the killer. Meanwhile, Malcolm does have his confrontation with Zaya, um, which does not go well. But it also kind of
No, but that scene was really interesting to me too. So she walks in there, and her only goal in that situation was to not feel bad about herself. That was what she wanted out of that situation. So she comes up there and she's like, they go all this, dancing around what they really want to say. And she says, no, Malcolm, tell me your truth. Say your truth. And he sits there and he's having trouble. And she lays it out for him, what they both know it is. She's like, I'm trying to make you be somebody, blah, 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 blah. And she's saying all the bad things she wishes he would say to her because she knows they're true. And if he says it, then she has something to be angry about. And now he's the bad guy. And that's what she gets him to do. And she gets up there and then she gets her little piece of emotional, satisfaction, and she storms out there like she was the wronged party.
Yeah. Yeah. And, not for nothing, that's exactly what she does. Well, what else you going to do? It's
I guess.
It comes down to just the fact that, Malcolm, what it really comes down to? They weren't in love. They were in love with the idea of one another. They were in love with what they each thought they wanted and were supposed to do. In many ways, it kind of mirrors Foggy's relationship with his girlfriend,
Right,
Which is like, although that one I think is a little healthier because I think that one actually is a lot more, intimate and kind, because I think what they actually both want is somewhat similar. But how they want to get there.
There's also sort of that old world charm to it. Like, firms are like families in the way old timey families were families, like Game of Thrones families, extended to, and you get to be part of a family. And so when she says to him, "You left my firm," it's like you left the family, so it's going to make it, and that's the sort of dream that they were working on. It's like being on Survivor and making an alliance with somebody like-minded. You're like, oh my God, I found a partner in this game, and so now it's like you're leaving the game, and so it is a heavy thing. I saw where she was coming from there,
But it was like the game wasn't fun for him anymore, and that's the thing, is like, he thought he wanted something. He thought he wanted the Brooks Brothers suits and the chopped hair, and and to not be the drug addict and not be the assistant to Jessica Jones, but to be his own man in a world where he could call his own shots. But what he realized is that in order to call your own shots, you gotta deal with everyone else's shots. And from the very beginning, we can see that he doesn't want to do it. When he basically takes out his client.
Yeah, that's true. Right.
So from the very start, it was like he was always bristling at this. This was not a yoke he wanted to plow with.
Right. And it's like he says to Jessica, I think 2 episodes ago, he's like, I need both of those parts to feel whole. I think that's interesting.
Well, yeah, because, you can't do something that leaves a part of you empty. Whatever you're doing. And, and it's not to say that you can't work a 9 to 5. That's not your favorite job. So long as that's not what defines you.
Right.
And that's the thing. And he wants to be defined by what he does. And he wants what he does to define him. And honestly, that's wonderful if you can do it. And, he wanted to be a social worker years and years ago. And I think had he actually been a social worker, he probably would have been happy. I mean, it would have been it is my wife's a social worker. She can tell you it is a thankless, painful, difficult job, but it's also fulfilling for those times when you actually get to help someone. Which is,
it's exactly what it's exactly what he says to Zaya. He's like, now I get to help the people that actually need help. That's all he wanted.
Yeah, well, because at the end of the day, there's no, when a millionaire buys the best lawyer and the lawyer buys the best detective, it's, it's a lot of dirty money exchanging hands. And, it pays well, but, if you weren't doing it, someone else would. You know,
Yeah.
if Hogarth decided to stop practicing law, Chow and Benowitz would be right there to take up those cases, you know, and be just as dirty and corrupt and conniving as she was. And if you don't want to be the private detective, there's 6 other people that want to be the private detective. There's enough people that want that job that if that job doesn't make you happy, you don't have to feel like you have to defend it just for the defense of it, you know?
Yeah.
You've got to find a place that, because not for nothing, if you go to work every day to provide for your family, but it also slowly kills you, it will eventually quickly kill you. You know, I mean, that's the thing, is like it will wear away at who you are and what makes you you, and then you'll start to have hatred for those things that you were actually doing it because you love them. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like it's always important. You got to balance your life, and that's what Malcolm is doing with Barry.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, I don't know, man. I mean, that is just. I will say this: as it is bad behavior, just straight up bad behavior. What they're doing, what's going on there, that is just that does not in any way, shape, or form end well when you're looking at it. But it feels so good in that moment.
Right. I think they both understand that right now they both need something. Not the other person can't provide everything that person needs, and he just found that out, the hard way.
Mhm.
But right now they need something very specific more than they need anything else, and each one of those is willing to provide that. He
Yeah,
feels like he's trying to redeem himself, and she already sees him as a good man. After
exactly.
having that conversation where Dale was not, trying to be good and wanting him to not be good with her. And here comes this person who's seen the first, and she says to him, "You're a good man." That's all he really wanted to hear. And in that moment, it's just like, okay, what more can I ask life for right now? Let me take what gifts life has given me and shut the hell up for a second.
Yeah, and not for nothing. And like this, because I am a hopeless romantic. I actually do feel there's a quality of being able to be yourself,
Right.
to just be yourself. And when someone knows all that you've done and knows all the things that would make anyone else run away and yet doesn't, that's like wow, this is something that's a little deeper than all that, you know?
Yeah.
He knows everything I've done. She knows what I've done. She knows what kind of person I am, but she still looks at me as if I'm a nice person. Yeah, I made some bad. She looks at all my bad choices as bad choices, not as the defining qualities of who I am. Just as the same way he looks at the fact that she was a prostitute as bad choices she made, not the defining quality of who she was. You know. As I say, anyone who looks down on prostitutes probably never had anyone offer them. Because if you were desperate and someone offered, who amongst us, who amongst us
Hey, I
would
mean,
choose other choices?
you don't have to be desperate. You just maybe have to be and appreciate artistry and taking pride in the artistry of the act.
Well, there you go. But yeah, so they're together, and that is beautiful. One of my favorite things about this episode is we get Hogarth and Kith,
Oof.
and Kith basically telling her, "I have an associate with a unique set of skills," and I know everyone thinks she's talking about Jessica. I knew immediately that she was talking about Trish.
Because she's going to try to coerce Trish into working for her.
Exactly, because she has the video of Trish. She knows Trish is Hellcat.
Oh, that's so good. That's so evil. That's so good.
And again, because it's someone that she can manipulate. She can't manipulate Jessica Jones to do her dirty work, but she could manipulate Trish. And the first thing that she does and this is how you know she wants to manipulate Trish, is she's the one to pick for the to get the will. And she's a little disappointed that it's Jessica.
What her plan is.
Yeah, her plan is to get Jessica or to get Trish to break in and to use her powers against this guy who's hurting her girlfriend. maybe to get her to kill him, or maybe just to, I gotta assume it's not just forensic accounting, although maybe finding his ledger books might be useful. But I do think that is the fact that she wants to exploit the fact that she is a superpowered being that she can utilize to accomplish
Yeah,
her
no,
goals.
that's so interesting because the whole time they set up this situation where you're waiting for the other shoe to drop. She sees, Trisha's face, and you're thinking, oh my God, oh, and they're the person holding the will. So she goes, oh, okay, send Jasper or whatever his name up there. I was like, okay, she's planning something. She's gonna hurt her somehow. But she's thinking so far beyond that. She's thinking, oh, this is gonna be an asset.
Well, exactly.
That's so interesting. That's so cool.
Because that's an enemy is just a friend you haven't found a way to exploit yet. So we do get to the funeral, and we do see that Jessica finally puts the pieces together. She realizes that Trish is the one who killed the cop, because she sees the bruises on her wrist, and she realizes she got those bruises. That's a new bruise. That's not one she got from Salinger. She's going out again. She's still beating people up.
Yeah.
And it is telling. And then
now, how did she get wind of Nussbaumer?
Who? Trish? I think Jessica. Well, probably one of two ways. Either because actually when Jessica went and searched Eric's apartment, she found that he had all these extra files, and he was compiling these dossiers.
Right.
So she probably said, I want you to take me to the most evil people you know. And he took her straight to Nussbaum, and, she did what she did, And then we see at the very end of this, and I love the scene where the cops surround Jessica as she's coming out, and she goes to do the flight, and then they say freeze.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we got robbed of the flight scene. Because I just really wanted to see her jump away, But
yeah,
no such luck. But then we do catch Eric outside the developers, because of course they've tracked down the most likely next victim. That they think that Eric's next victim will be this developer. And we do see, in fact, Eric outside that developer's trailer, but then we realize that it's Trish inside, just beating the holy living heck out of him.
Probably the life out of him.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, not for nothing. We know she's killed at least once. We'll have to see how many other people she kills on this rampage, but yeah.
I imagine it just gets easier and easier to see yourself as that.
It could be. Oh, anyway. And that's where we're ending this. One thing to also say again, speaking of the trauma, the corruption of trauma, is of course Kith telling Hogarth, get your hands dirty. Do what you have to do. I need this over.
It's so horrible because it is exactly what Kith was saying she was doing. You want me to sign off on what you did to my husband.
Yeah. Well, and
that's exactly what she's doing.
Yeah, but to somebody she doesn't care about. It's the old, you push this button and you'll get, $10,000, but a person will die, but I guarantee you it'll be someone you don't even know. And then, they give you the $10,000 and say, but don't worry. It says, well, we're going to refurbish the button. We'll take it back, but don't worry. We're going to give it to someone you don't even know.
No, but essentially what you're doing is you're tacitly giving your forgiveness for what she did. That's what she's saying. She's like, if I say okay to this, then that means I can see your point of view for having done what you did, and that somehow excuses it because you're not above it any longer. My God, that's diabolical.
Yeah, but you know what? How difficult it is to sit on a high horse when we fear falling off of it,
To that point, the other thing that I thought was really, really great about this episode, one of my favorite moments, was when Malcolm walks up to Jessica and he's like, but you got to know, I went through some things over there. It changed me. And he's got this bad outlook on it. He's still struggling to find a bit of perspective that can help shed some good light on the experience or find some positivity. And then she goes, hey, at least you won't be a sanctimonious, snob any longer. And he just looked at me, smiled, and he's like, oh, okay, because this did teach me experience. It does give me perspective. It does help me see through the eyes of more people than I was able to before. So I guess that's what you take out of it. I thought it was such a beautiful bit of writing. It's such a beautiful way to help Malcolm see the light.
One thing I do want to say that I was kind of shocked and impressed by was when we see Kit's son. I think it was last episode. But he looked like between the first time the last season, I think they shot the funeral scene at the start of the season. I think they shot that other scene at the end of the season. And I swear that kid grew 2 feet between those two scenes. But it was a beautiful thing where he actually does come to Hogarth for help and says, look, my sister's dead, my dad's dead, and I don't want to lose my mom. And she's too proud to ask you for help, but she needs your help, And I thought that, and again, that is this moment of redemption for Hogarth and the idea that, I have these powers, I could do good with them. Now, granted, it's a
maybe I just don't give her enough credit. I don't see her as seeing it as that way. I see her having the same emotions about that situation that I imagine. What's the killer's name?
Salinger?
The one who hasn't been in a few
Challenger,
Challenger. I think she gets the same bit of satisfaction out of that because she knows she's still in control. With her dying breath, she can still claw and move things. And I think that's what she's excited by.
I'm not certain of that. I think, there's a quality that, she gets called out on this where I think when Jessica is talking to her, I think it's at the will, when she's picking up the will and she says, somehow you can even make, doing something good, doing something good sound self-serving, And she does call her out there, and that idea that, Dorothy didn't even know she was dying, but she was still trying. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
She said, Dorothy didn't even know she was dying, and she tried to do some good. And what are you doing? And, and she says, that's what I'm trying to do now. And, she says, well, somehow you can even make altruism sound self-serving, because it even suggests that the only reason she is trying to do good is because she's dying, is because she is trying to reclaim the goodness of her life because she's dying,
I think she just wants to possess Kit. That's her only intention. And in this way, she gets to have her under her control again. She goes, oh, no, don't worry, I'll take care of the money. Here's a loan agreement, and now I'm in control. And that's what it is. And it's just, it's dark, man. So she's dying with her dying breath. What is she going to have a life with this woman? Of course not. There's no life for her, but she wants to, before she leaves, know that she can mess with this woman again. She completely upended and destroyed her life, and now she wants to make her feel like she crossed the line and she's a worse person than she was before. And after Hogarth dies, this woman is going to have to deal with the fact that she can't even be angry at her because she is the same as her.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh, it's so evil and so dark.
I guess part of me doesn't give. I do not imagine that Jerry thinks that deeply about her actions. I think in her own mind, she is righteous in her actions. Maybe in the same way that Salinger, in his own mind, is righteous in his actions. But I do think that there is this sense for her that, no, I'm actually doing the right thing. I'm actually doing right by the people I care about and the people I love. And, I know I've done bad in the past for many reasons. And it was often self-serving. It was often self-aggrandizing. But this time I'm going to be good. This time I mean it, Yeah, it's a difficult question, but one that they're getting to the end. They're the bottom of. Oh, okay. Any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozz?
No. That and the other scene that I really liked was when Jess walks to Eric's apartment and, with the intent of, manipulating him into checking his things to see if he really is the killer. And, she comes up there and tells a very, heartfelt and private story. And it's almost like she didn't really get to have that moment of sharing that with him honestly. Even that was part of the job or was a ploy. So it just further isolates her or proves to her that the life she's chosen or the person she's chosen to be, necessitates her being alone in a sense. And it robbed her of that moment. I thought that was kind of heartbreaking and kind of sweet, but heartbreaking.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with being a hero is.
And she used like a real piece of her story that she wished she could have shared with him with honest intentions, but she had to do it under those circumstances, and she was doing it just because it was believable.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So that is tonight's episode. It is. These last two, they put you through the emotional ringer. We got 3 more to go. And I think they just get more intense from here. In the meantime, Mozz, if you would like to reach out to you, talk to you, ask you your feelings on what all this really means and who is good and who.
Well, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
Okay, and you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way, the way many people in the 80s did, and the 90s as well, at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter as I live tweet shows that are coming back, whether that's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or The Good Place, or who knows what else. Stumptown. I'm looking forward to that series. May live tweet
What is it?
Stumptown.
What is that?
It's got Kobe Smulders as Jessica Jones. It's pretty good with no superpowers. So yeah, it does look interesting. I'm really excited about it. Kind of like a better looking, more violent Rockford Files is my basic guess of it. I'm hoping I'm proven correct. Okay, but if you'd like to follow me as I live tweet Stumptown, you can do so at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
For quality. Ding.
There you go. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, cats and kittens, heroes and heroines, we have come to the end of another AKA JonesCast. I hope you found a friend along the way, and I hope it's me and Mozz, because me and Mozz just really want to be your friends. Good night.